Hi, welcome to Holistic Mojo. I am Jamie Sahara Lee, and today we are going to make bone broth. Well, today we're going to start making bone broth because this is about a 2 to 3 day process, depending on your level of patience. But I promise it's super easy. You just throw it all in a crock pot and then leave it for a couple days, just coming back every once in a while to check on it. So why bone broth? Bone broth has been used for centuries for medicinal purposes. It is a health elixir. So what it does is it alkalizes the body, it mineralizes the body, it builds your blood, builds your collagen, and it supports your immune system. So this is a great thing to have around in the winter, just to give you that extra boost when maybe you're eating a lot of vegetables, but they're not super fresh because it's the winter. So we're missing out on a lot of those minerals and the chi that we can now get from the bone broth. And it's also great if you're living in a tropical climate to subsidize your meat eating. So for me, I have kind of a weak blood system. So no matter how many vegetables I eat, still need a little extra kick. And I would have to have hundreds of dollars of Chinese herbs to keep up with what I can get out of just daily bone broth. So I will use this when I'm living in the tropics, when my body doesn't necessarily want to eat meat. I will make bone broth and use it in all of my rice and my quinoa and my veggies. Everything gets cooked with that bone broth. So I'm infusing my body with all of those minerals that I need. So like I said, this is used as a health tonic. So you can add in anything else that supports your system. In today's bone broth, I'm going to be adding in seaweed, ginger, turmeric, and asparagus. Why asparagus? Because it's in my refrigerator and it's going bad. So this is a little bit of a kitchen sink soup. Whatever you have that is going bad, throw it in. If you've got scraps, onion scraps, leftover veggie scraps, all of that can get thrown into your bone broth, and it's just gonna add more nourishment to the broth. I think I've also got some thyme that's going bad, so I'll probably throw that in there. So it's just a smorgasbord. Throw everything in there. You're gonna do nothing but help yourself in the long run. So an important part of making bone broth is apple cider vinegar. You're going to need to put 2 tablespoons of raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar into the broth while you're cooking it. Why is this? Well, the apple cider vinegar is a solvent, so it's going to help to pull all of the minerals out of the bone marrow, which is actually where we're getting all the nutrients. So we've got the bone, and inside the bone is the bone marrow, and that's what we're using, and that's what we're trying to pull. So you'll be watching your bone broth and checking your bones to make sure that that marrow is slowly disintegrating, because that marrow is going to disintegrate into the water, into the broth, and then when that broth cools, you're going to get a nice gelatin bone marrow-esque thing going on, and that's what we're looking for. So what are you going to need? Apple cider vinegar and bones, obviously. You want to get your bones either from the butcher, where you can have them cut into about 2-inch or 1-inch long sections. You want to make sure you're getting plenty of the middle section, so that long section of the bone, because that's where a lot of the marrow is. But you're also going to want to make sure you get some pieces of the knuckle, because that's where the collagen is, and that is what's going to boost all of the collagen in your body, supporting your joints. So make sure you get a little bit of both. I usually get like 1 knuckle bone, and then I'll get like a whole long femur bone that is chopped into, again, 1 to 2-inch slices. I personally like to get my bones from a farm that I know and trust, so that I know that those cows are taken care of, they're fed the proper food, and that they're slaughtered in a humane way. So because I use this a lot for my vegetarian clients who are just not quite getting enough out of the vegetarian diet, I want to make sure that it is, of course, sourced as sustainably as possible. So make sure that you know and trust where you're getting your bones from, because that's very important. And then, of course, you're just going to need anything else that you want to throw into your broth. Let's get started. I like to do this in a crock pot just because it's safer and I don't need to worry about it. But you can also do it on the stove and just leave it on simmer. But if you're going to be simmering this for 2 or 3 days, you need to kind of pay attention to it, which is why I like to do it in the crock pot. So I've got water, filtered water in my crock pot. And I'm just gonna go ahead and place my bones in. So you can see there's a lot of marrow here in the center of the bone. I'm cut about 1 inch to 2 inches thick, and you can have the butcher do this specifically for you. That just makes it easier, I find, for everything to dissolve out of the bones. You want to make sure you have some end pieces and some knuckle pieces, because that's going to give you more of the collagen, which is going to make your broth thicker, but it's also going to be great for your body. And I like to make sure there's some meat on these as well, adding a little extra flavor. You want to make sure the bones are completely covered. You're going to add your 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And again, the vinegar acts as a solvent, so it's going to help pull all the minerals out of the marrow of the bones. And then you're going to add in whatever else you've got. So I've got the kombu seaweed that I put in. You can put in a couple strips of it depending on how much you like seaweed in it. And then you want to add in anything else that you've got laying around the house. So scraps from the veggies, onion peels. I've got some asparagus here that's kind of looking a little not so great on the top, so I'm going to throw that in. And I also have some thyme that was sitting in the refrigerator that also needed to get used up. So I'm going to throw that in. And of course, it wouldn't be a Jamie concoction without some turmeric and some ginger. Throwing all that in there. Pop the lid on. And I'm going to come back maybe twice a day just to check and make sure that there's still plenty of water, everything's covered, everything's cooking. But I just turn this on to high until it comes up to a simmer, and then turn it down to low so that it continues to simmer. It's very important that it does simmer, so you don't want it to go down to low and then not be simmering, because then you're not going to be able to pull all the nutrients out. So you need it to be simmering but not boiling. All right, so this has been cooking for about 3 days. And you can see that the marrow is completely out of the bones. It's dissolved. Everything is kind of mushy. So it's still steaming. We're just going to let it cool off a little bit. Strain everything out. And then let it completely come to room temperature and skim all the fat off. So there's probably about 1 centimeter of fat on top of this. And then you just put it into little containers, freeze it, or keep it in the fridge to cook with. I would only have it in the fridge for about a week, so if you're not going to use it all at once, definitely be sure to put it in the freezer. And enjoy!